Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, the first thing we want to talk about today is I wanted to give you guys an update on my ankle. First of all, thank you all so much for the prayers after our last video. I told you guys that I had a fall and that I hurt my ankle. Some good news, after I went to the doctor, had some x-rays done, it was not broken, so we're super excited about that. It's still very sore. I'm having to wear a brace probably for the next few weeks. Every morning I wake up starting to think that it's feeling a little bit better. By the end of the day, it's not feeling good at all. So I'm trying my hardest to rest, take all the advice that I can get, but really it's just going to take some time, and resting on a homestead is not an easy thing to do.
But today we do have a lot of other updates for you. We're excited about the progress that we're having in many areas of the homestead. So we're going to take you from one to the other today, give you some really amazing updates. Well, the first exciting thing is that our seedlings that we're growing for the farmers market are growing so well. We have kind of two separate batches of seedlings that we'll be taking to the farmers market. One is, well, the first batch will be what we call our spring plants, which are mostly cold weather plants, the brassicas like cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, and lettuce. And so you can see this whole half here are all the spring plants that we'll be taking to the farmers market. They're doing so well. The lettuces are looking beautiful. Now, our farmers market is in Ava, Missouri, and it is every Saturday, starting the first Saturday in April. The hours are from 8 to noon. We plan to be there every Saturday in April and May. And after that, we're not quite sure. It's going to depend on how many plant starts we still have available and how things are going for us on the homestead. Now, like I said, the first batch that we're going to be taking are spring plants. That will be mostly all of April. And then in May is when we'll be able to bring out our tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, some of the zucchini, squash, and the other things that we have planned for summer plants at the farmers market. And those will be coming out starting in May. But let me just show you how well even the tomatoes and peppers are doing. They're still small yet because it's still early. But we have a nice variety of little bitty tomato seedlings that will be just the perfect size by the time we bring them to the farmers market. We have a good variety of hybrids and heirloom tomatoes that we're going to be bringing, and we've got these nice peppers here started. We're going to have these aren't really flowers, but they're decorative greens called coleus. I'm actually growing those for Kevin's mom, but decided to plant some also to bring to the farmers market. But they're doing really well. Now we've started our fertilization procedures for seedlings, and we use fish emulsion on all of our seedlings at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. And the ratio we use is 1 tablespoon fish emulsion per gallon of water. And that really helps us get those seedlings nice and strong and green and the perfect size by the perfect time to bring them to the farmers market. Now, one thing we wanted to mention quickly is that as the weather starts warming up and people start thinking of vacations and traveling, we always get a lot of requests from people to come and tour our homestead, come and meet us and just pick our brains about one thing or the other. And while we don't do tours of the homestead and things like that because of privacy and security concerns, we encourage people to come out to the farmers market on Saturdays, especially in April and May. We would love to talk with you and love to meet with you at that time. And also there are some fantastic vendors also at the farmers market that we would love for you to explore. So that's the update on the seedlings. There's another update that we want to give you on the new chicks that we've started. Let's go over to the brooder barn and check them out.
Well, the first update on the new chicks that we have is that we're no longer raising them in the house. The first video that we did for you guys a couple weeks ago, we had them in a stock tank in the house. We used that for just about the first week because it was a real cold stretch and we wanted to make sure they got off to a good start. but now we moved them out to what we call our brooder barn, which is just this 1/3 of this barn here we reserve strictly for brooding chicks. So let's go inside and see how they're doing. Well, the chicks are about 2.5 weeks old now. We've had them out here now in the brooder barn for about a week, and they are just doing great. You guys, they are growing so fast. We're so impressed with how much just spunk they have. They're just always on the move. They're running around. They're already chasing bugs. They're just really an amazing breed just to sit here and watch them and to watch their overall like natural instincts that they have. I can tell they're going to be great foragers when they get outside. They're super inquisitive. Both the breeds that we're raising are growing really well. So far, I think the American breast chickens are actually a little bit bigger than the Malines. Now, just to review, in case you missed the first video, the reason that we got these chickens is because we want to be more sustainable when it comes to our chicken meat supply here on the homestead. In the past, we've always raised the Cornish cross chickens, and while we still are huge fans of the Cornish cross chickens, last year and this year there have been some shortages in being able to get those. There's been some disruptions in people being able to get the numbers that they wanted, and so we decided that this year it would be a good time to switch over to a more sustainable breed. In doing our research, it led us to the American breast chicken. Now, the American breast, first of all, let me spell that for you because we had some confusion after the last video. It's B-R-E-S-S-E is how you spell breasts. The American breast chicken is kind of an offshoot from the French breast chicken, which is known as the tastiest chicken in the world, or the best tasting chicken in the world. Now, real breast chickens come from a certain part of France, and so by kind of copyright, these aren't technically breast chickens, but these were imported originally from France. The farm we bought them from actually got theirs from that original stock that were brought in from France. And so we're just super excited to be able to start breeding this breed here in the United States. Now, I don't think we made it super clear in the last video that we didn't buy these chicks to be able to process or butcher these chicks. These chicks will actually be our new laying flock. So we'll actually raise these up to the age where they can start to lay eggs, and then we'll save their eggs, incubate those, and then those will be the ones that we raise up for our meat supply. The really cool thing about these American breast chickens is that they actually start to lay eggs about 6 weeks to 2 months earlier than other breeds of chickens. Most breeds take 6 to 8 months to start to lay, but the American breast can start laying as early as 16 weeks old, which makes them great for a small homestead like ours because we can get a faster turnaround time on them and we can continually be hatching and getting more chickens. They're also supposed to be amazing foragers, which was really important to us. We wanted something that would rely less on commercial feed. Not that we won't have to give them commercial feed, we will, but they will also be able to supplement their own feed a lot more by going out and foraging. The Cornish Cross just are not good foragers. They mostly like to just sit close to their feeder and eat all day. Now, traditionally, the way that the French breast chickens were raised is by soaking their grain in milk. This is something that we've been wanting to do for a long time anyway, and we have been giving our extra milk to our chickens down at the farm, but as these guys get older, we do want to raise them in that more traditional way. Since we have a milk cow and we always have more milk than we can use, and soon, or within the next year or so, we'll actually be milking 2 cows, we're going to have more than enough milk, not only for our needs, but for the needs of all of our animals as well. So we have started to explore soaking the feed in milk, and we'll talk more about that once we go down to the farm. One really cool thing about these American breast chickens that was just kind of an added bonus, not something that we, were looking for, but they're known as the red, white, and blue chicken because they're solid white. Now, right now on their backs, there's a little mark. That's just a mark from the hatchery. They're a solid white chicken. They have a red comb, but then their legs turn blue as they get older. And some of these chicks, their legs are already starting to turn blue. Let me grab one and see if I can show you. So you can see on this one, the legs are already starting to turn blue. It's actually pretty cool to watch that happen. Some of them still have yellow legs. That's what they're born with, is yellow legs. We knew that around 3 weeks old they would start to turn blue. That's exactly what's happening. Now, we don't know yet how many males and females we have because we bought these unsexed. So we're hoping that we're going to have a good ratio there. Now, you may be asking yourselves, there's a few chicks in this flock that look different than the other ones. We did end up with 4 other chicks. When we ordered the American breast chicks from North Star Farm, they reached out to us and they said, there's another breed that we think you guys might be interested in that's also an excellent meat breed. It's also a heritage breed, something that we can raise here on the homestead and hatch eggs and incubate. And they're called Black Cuckoo Malines. That's M-A-L-I-N-E-S. So it's Black Cuckoo Malines, and they are actually a much bigger chicken than the American breasts. For the Malines, the roosters should actually be 12 to 15 pounds, and the hens will be in the range of 10 to 12 pounds. So that is a big chicken for a heritage breed. Now, they don't grow quite as quickly as the American breasts, and they don't start to lay eggs quite as soon. But all in all, I think it's going to be really great to have these 2 sustainable breeds here on the homestead. So we are just super happy with the way these chicks are growing. It's obvious watching them that they are going to be big, meaty birds. You can just tell by the way they're growing already. We're super excited about that. All right, let's head down to the farm. We got some updates that we want to give you guys down there as well. Well, we're out in the chicken moat, and I wanted to talk to you guys while we're on the subject of chickens about some of the changes that we've made to our chickens and our ducks here at the farm. Now, for those of you who haven't followed our videos for a long time, this is what we call our chicken moat. This is basically a double fence system. We put up 2 fences around 1 acre of land. On the inside of this system is where we have our garden, our orchard, and in the future we're going to be having berries. The real reason we put up this double fence system was to keep deer out of our gardens and our orchard. It's been working great for over a year now. But secondly, we wanted to be able to then raise our chickens and our ducks inside of this, what we call the moat. So they can go all the way around. This is basically a 6 foot wide by about 850 foot long chicken moat, and they have access to the entire thing. Or at least they did until just recently. We've just recently decided that we're going to start separating our chickens and our ducks. So let's go down here and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. So in between the 2 coops, I've now made this homemade gate that I put up here. Not a real sturdy gate, but it's just for chickens and ducks, so it doesn't really matter. So this is basically just a divider, and we put one over on the other side of the chicken moat as well. So the chickens can go halfway around and the ducks can go halfway around the other way. We may do some more separating in the future, and we may actually end up separating this into 4 parts when the chicks that we just saw a minute ago are old enough to come down here as well. We've done this really for two main reasons. One, because the avian flu is now in Missouri and we wanted to keep our ducks and our chickens separate. Now, I fully understand that the fact that they can still both basically get right next to each other doesn't reduce our risk totally, but it will help at least somewhat. Ducks can have avian flu and not show any symptoms. They get it from migratory birds that come through, either that poop in their area or if they share a pond or something like that. The ducks can actually be a carrier and not get sick from it, but the chickens will actually die from it. So we wanted to keep our ducks and chickens separate just to reduce that risk. I really feel like our risk is pretty low using this moat system anyway. Our ducks don't go into the ponds where we have wild birds going in. And really, I've never seen any wild birds land in the moat area. I think they're afraid of the double fence system. So I think our chances are pretty low really here. The second reason that we did this, and really the main reason that we did this, is because of the cost of feed lately. As many of you know or have experienced in your areas, you know that feed prices are going up and they're expected to keep going up for an unknown amount of time. We wanted to get our feed bill under control. We don't want to be feeding more feed than we need to, and we don't want to be feeding more animals than we need to. So we've really been working hard to kind of get all of that under control. By doing this, we can give the ducks just what they need, and we can give the chickens just what they need. We've also reduced the number of chickens that we have in our laying flock. We now have our laying flock of only 8 chickens, and that's really all we need for the needs of our family and to supply my parents with some eggs as well. We still have too many ducks. We have, right now, I think 19 ducks, and we have way too many males. So we'll be working over the next few weeks or month or so to get rid of the males. We'll be processing those. They'll be going in the freezer, and they'll be, food for our family. But we want to get it down so that we have just the appropriate number of females and males left in our flock. Another thing that we've done to really reduce our feed bill, or to start reducing our feed bill, is we're now soaking all of our poultry feed in milk for a full 24 hours before we feed it. It's not really fermented feed, but it is soaked feed. It bulks up the feed, it brings out more of the nutrients, and they also get the extra calcium and protein from the milk as well. By doing this, we've been able to lower the amount of actual feed that we're feeding. Now, we're by no means experts at this yet. I'm still trying to figure out kind of how far we can get this down or what the exact number is. I don't know if it's going to be 50% of what they would normally get or 3/4 of what they would normally get. I'm working on that slowly over time and just watching the behavior of the birds. Once the grass starts to grow more and there's more bugs out, that will help as well. But for now, we're just trying to figure out that milk to feed ratio that we can do every day. While we're over in this area, there's one more thing that we want to show you. Then we're going to jump in the UTV and go look for the cows. We have a surprise to show you with the cows. You guys can probably guess what it is.
So now we're inside the chicken moat area. This is where we have our orchard, where we're going to garden, where we're going to have berries. And behind me, you can see we have a giant silage tarp back here. This is where we're going to be gardening from now on. This is our first garden on the farm property. Well, last year we experimented a little bit, but this is where our main garden is going to be from now on. Now, for the last probably 70 years, this area behind me has been a hayfield. And so we need to turn it into a garden and have it not grow grass, not grow hay. So in the fall, we tilled it up and we picked some rocks. We've been adding rabbit manure. We've been adding quail manure. But now it's time to kill off the grass. We have spread this giant silage tarp and we've weighed it down with mostly sandbags, some rocks, some odds and ends to kill out the grass. But there's another reason why this is going to be important for us. Now in April and the beginning of May, here in southern Missouri, we get a ton of rain. And every year it seems like we are waiting for the ground to dry up so that we can plant. You can plant your tomatoes and sweet potatoes, peppers, those warm, heat-loving plants in, beginning or middle of May, but because it's so wet a lot of times we're not even able to plant until almost June. So we're hoping that by putting a silage tarp down, that it will also prevent a lot of that moisture from getting down into the ground right here. Now, we understand that we're on a hill. It's hill country around here. So some of that water will probably go underneath the silage tarp, but hopefully not all of it, and will make this first gardening experience for us easy. So our hope is to leave this silage tarp down until right before we'll put the woven weed fabric around this area, and then we can get started on our very first large garden here at our farm property. We are so excited to move more and more of our homestead to the farm property here, so we can just have one place to live, raise food, have our family, and be happy.
Well, we looked around and we found the cows. Now, I told you that we had a surprise to show you guys. If you remember on the last video, we introduced you to a new calf that we had. Her number for the year is number 8. We have named her Fanny, since she'll be a permanent resident here on the farm. Now, I know that for people who have a lot of cows, naming them isn't practical. We have 10 cows. We're hoping to get up to about 15, maybe a few more. And while we can keep track of them, we're going to name them. So we've named number 8 Fanny. And on that last video, we were talking to you guys that we were actually watching one of our cows because we were certain she was going to have a calf any time. She ended up not having a calf the day that we shot that video. But the very next day, when we came down to look for the cows, she had her calf. Let's go take a look. But you guys, that is number 9, the 9th calf that we've had born here. Most of them were last year. We've had 2 so far this year. It is another heifer calf. We are super excited about that because any heifers that we have born this year, now heifers are female calves for those of you who don't know, any heifers that are born this year are going to become permanent residents here on the farm. We're trying to get the number of cows that we have up to about 15 to 20. And so any heifers will become permanent residents that we'll keep here on the farm. So we're so excited that so far we're 2 for 2 for the year. Now the second calf was born to a cow that we refer to as Hightail. Most of the cows that we have right now, we just kind of refer to them by the way that they look. Our cows aren't ear tagged. We need to do that. We're working toward getting the facilities set up so we can catch the cows and be able to ear tag them. So right now we kind of go off by the way they look. So number 9 was born to a cow that we call Hightail, and we call her that because her tail seems to be super high up on her back. And then number 8, we showed you in the last video, she was born to a cow that we refer to as Pork Chop. A lot of you were wondering why we named that cow Pork Chop. Is it because it's an ironic name and, you know, pork chops come from pigs, not from cows? That's actually not it at all. She has a marking on her face, and the very first time one of our friends, Patty, saw her, she said, "It looks like that cow has a pork chop on her face." And so ever since then, we've just referred to her as Pork Chop. So Pork Chop's had her calf for the year, Hightail's had her calf, and we're actually watching another one today that we think may be having a calf real soon. So we're just excited that spring is here and all of the calves are starting to be born.
So those are the updates that we have for you today, guys. We've just been trying to lay low a little bit so Kevin can have an opportunity to rest and heal his ankle. The last 3 or 4 days have been kind of yucky, rainy, overcast, cold. So actually it's been a perfect time for him.
I think God did that on purpose because he knew if it was beautiful weather, I wouldn't have sat still. So it has helped.
On the other hand, this week also our youngest daughter has been on spring break, so it's been nice to have her help a little bit more so Kevin doesn't feel so pressured to do too much.
Right.
She and I are trying to hold down the fort so that he can rest and recover.
Guys, isn't it exciting when spring comes and plants are starting, the cows are having their calves? Just seems like everything has new life in it, and we're just so excited that you've come to the farm today to enjoy that experience with us.
You guys, if you're enjoying our videos, make sure that you hit the subscribe button below. And as always, please remember that the best way that you can help us is just to share our videos on your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.